Hello, world, friends, family, and to all the people who make the show run for me, Alejandra, Sebastian, and everybody else, Led Life Studios. Today, I want to introduce to you Mrs. Henrietta England. She's an author, she's a chaplain, she's the mother of two, she's the grandmother of two, and she is the owner of Trifold Connections. And she also hosts a show called Money Matter Mondays on Facebook. And today we're going to be discussing financial literacy. And she is one of the best. She's been in this business for 40 years. So I'm looking forward to this. I even brought my own notebook so that I can take notes. And Mrs. Henrietta, please, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you so very much, Psalmist Derry Thurston, for having me on today.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
you're welcome. Thank you. And thank you also to those that make your show do what it do. So I thank all of those that are working in the background as well. But my name is Henrietta England. I am the owner and founder of Trifold Connections. And what we do at Trifold Connections is we teach on financial literacy. It is so important that we get out to the multitudes and teach on financial literacy starting at a very young age because it's not taught in many school systems. But I had my father, God rest his soul, he passed on in 1986. But, anyways, um, when he was alive, he survived the Great Depression. And so, because he just survived the Great Depression, he made sure that at the tender age of 13, his daughter would make sure that I would be financially secure. So I started working at the age of 12. And at 13 years old, he took me straight to the bank when I got paid. Because at first he would save the money for me, and then he took that money and we took it to the bank and opened up a transfer to minor act account, which is a savings account that many people can open for their children to get them a head start. So when I became grown, I purchased everything cash at first because that's the way I was taught. My father taught me to purchase everything cash. And then when I went to go and receive credit, I didn't qualify for credit. And
Okay.
and I was like, wait a minute, why I don't qualify for credit? And they said because you have no credit history, you pay for
Right,
everything
right,
cash.
right.
And so I had to learn that. And so that's part of what I teach as well. And I also teach them how to manage their credit history because that's so very important. You want all three of your credit bureau reports to be saying the same
Same
thing.
thing. Yes, yes.
Yes, because TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, those are the three major credit reporting bureaus, and we want to make sure that they're all speaking the same language. So it's very important to make sure you're reviewing your credit at least once a year to see what is on your credit report, making sure that all three credit reports are speaking the same language, because I also prepare those for their first time home buying experience. I was a mortgage loan officer as well for Bank of America. Uh, and before I became a branch manager with Standard Bank and Trust Company, where I wore all the hats. Uh,
Okay. And one question. Tell me, where did you get a job at 12 years old?
my family, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Um,
Okay.
and so my dad owned, and my sister, well, he bought the Ashland Seafood Fish Market for
Okay.
my sister Pearl, and she passed on as well. But at the tender age of 12, I was in that fish market. I was debating shrimp and I was working on the grill, making the hamburgers and,
Okay.
and so on and so forth, and learning how to learn the different fish. So we had a family owned business, and we did, even at that age, we still gave back to the community. And
Okay.
that's where my community involvement comes in
Comes
because
in.
that's the
Right,
way,
right,
yeah,
right.
that's the way I
Is
was.
that in the entrepreneurial spirit has been in you from you were a child?
Yes.
Okay, so therefore that's how come you're the owner and founder of Trifold Connections. So tell us a little bit about Trifold Connections and Monday, Money Matters on Monday. Tell us about that. How did that come about? How did Trifold Connections come about?
That's good right there. Trifold Connections came about, I want to say in 2007. Um, God told me he wanted me to start a business. And I said, well, what type of business? And he didn't respond. But what he did do was give me the name of the business,
Okay. Yes.
Trifold Connections. And I was like, what's that? You know? And so, but anyway, long story short, in January 4th of 2019,
Mhm.
Trifold Connections was incepted.
Okay.
And so that's how it got started. And then I asked, what did he want me to do? And so he said, I want you to teach on financial literacy. So
Okay.
many people are not aware of everything that goes into um, building a complete financial portfolio. That's very
Right, right, you're
important.
right, right.
We do that, and so he wanted me to make sure that I gear Trifold Connections to prepare all people, regardless of race, creed, color, age, religion, denomination. It does not matter. He wants Trifold Connections to prepare them for an abundant life by changing the mindset, right?
Okay.
To prepared readiness to acquire financial stability and create kingdom wealth God's way. That's
Right.
so very
Generational wealth that passes on.
right.
Right. Mhm.
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
and so what we do, we inspire to educate our clients, which are some are adolescents, teenagers, young adults, adults, seniors, and persons with disability, because that's so very key too. That we want the people that may have some type of disability to be able to be on their own and take care of their own finances, and be able to inspect what they expect, even if they have a caregiver. So we
Mm.
teach those classes as well. And basically, we want to teach them on economic growth and development so that they understand when they look at the reports that the government is putting out, or the prime lending rate. You want to pay attention to those types of things, because those types of things directly affect our.
Effect, right.
Right, our APRs, which is the annual percentage rate yield that we're paying on different loan products and loan instruments. Uh, s- uh, it just affects everything when it comes down to credit. And we know that the Feds last year were very aggressive in raising the prime lending rate because we were threatening a recession, which
Right.
many would not say that we were in a recession, but we were there. And
Right.
we're now in the recovery stage. And our presiding president and vice president has been very instrumental in putting things in place to help keep America going.
Mm.
And when America is going forward, then the rest of the world is also going forward.
Right. We're all on the same wheel rotate. Yes, everybody's going.
Exactly, because
Right,
American
right.
dollar, the American dollar is still at a very high value, and we want to keep it that way, you
Yes.
know,
Mm.
so that when we do go to other countries, and
Countries, right.
we can boost their economy as well,
Economies,
because
right.
if the economy and Wall Street is not running good, then that is affecting all of us.
All of us. Yes, most
And so
definitely.
what we do on Money Matter Mondays
Hmm.
is we empower our clients with biblical principles and precepts,
Right.
to encourage them, to help them to build what their goals are, their dreams, their visions, their assignments, helping them to build a complete financial portfolio, that they will be able to pass down to their children and their children and their children. It's generational wealth.
Yes, most definitely. So, what are like the four pillars of financial literacy? What is that? I was reading and I'm like, okay, I understand, like I did it in a little acronym, the acronym form, like DIBS, debt, investment, um, savings, and budgeting. Can you like explain a little bit on those four principles?
Oh, sure. I'd be more than happy to. Um, I also author a book that's called The Art of Budgeting
Yes.
and its companion journal. And so, in the art of budgeting, the book helps you to identify where you are financially right now. Because a lot of people, they don't want to admit that they're upside down in their finances. So, this book will help them to establish where they are and maintain a healthy budget. On the inside of the book, I provide them a QR code that
Okay.
takes them directly to a complete budget. Because many
Okay.
people think that a budget is just your light bill, your gas bill, your water bill, but there's so much more that goes into a budget. And so I want to open up their minds to receive everything that goes inside. And so with this QR code, they can print it out as many times as they need to. If they get paid weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, that they have this prepared and ready, right? And so I advise them to do it on paper first. Now you can always go online because we live in a digital age,
Of
right?
course,
And
yes,
pull
yes.
up a budget. But when you do it on paper and you write it down, right,
Right,
it tends
right.
to get to memory better.
Right, right, right.
And so we
What?
want to go
Go
ahead and
ahead.
help them to make positive investments in their future. So inspect what they expect. Don't just go in and sign on the dotted line because it sounds good. Right? Make sure you read the fine print. And if you don't want to read the fine print, that's what Trifold Connections do. We're in place to make sure that our clients are making sure that they are building kingdom wealth
Oh,
God's way, and as well as building a legacy for themselves and their family that they want to leave in this earth. And then they want to save money God's way. People
mm,
forget they pay their tithes. They pay their offerings. They give to the needy. They do all of these things, charitable events, and so on and so forth. But they forget to pay themselves,
right, right,
invest in themselves. And God
right.
just want us to give, and keep giving, but He also wants us to invest
Yes,
in ourselves. And if we're going out and we're giving back to society by having a job and moving our world forward, then we need to invest in ourselves. At least start at 10%.
okay.
10%
Yeah.
is the bottom, but you want to increase that over time. And I introduced the life curve in the art of budgeting so that they will understand what the life curve is. And then they want to reclaim their spiritual and financial identities, right?
Okay.
Because
Okay.
poverty is a mindset. It is not something that we are born with. It is a mindset. And that's why it's so important that we teach and we train, right, with the proper tools and principles and precepts that the mind needs to be changed toward these things. You know,
Right. And that's what, yeah, and that's what you try to do from an early age.
yes,
I,
yes.
yes, I read that. And just one question. What is an upside down budget?
Oh,
You spoke of
upside down. That's good. Thank you so much for bringing that up. An upside down budget is when your debt exceeds your income. That's
okay.
the most simplest way to
Okay.
put that. And so many people are upside down.
Okay.
You know, they did not do their debt to income ratios. And in my second book that I wrote, right, the Take Ownership book, that book talks to them and teaches them also how to learn how to do their debt to income ratios prior
Okay.
to going out and doing any type of purchasing. Because if you're in the market to purchase a home, refinance your home, do a home equity loan or a line of credit, they're going to pull all three of your
Right.
uh,
Right. Credit bureau. Right.
from the credit bureau. And then they're also going to look at your debt to income ratios.
Yes.
And
Okay.
it is sustainable. Can you afford it? Do you have room? And so it's important that I put these tools in the client's hands so that when they go in to make a large purchase, they are well aware of their middle score or FICO score with the credit bureau, and they are well aware of their debt to income ratios, and they
Mhm.
start with the budget so that the budget will allow them to know how much more they can add on to their budget and still be able to live a comfortable life and lifestyle.
Okay. Awesome. And I know you do a lot of community outreach. Um,
Yes, we do.
And yes, you do a lot of community outreach. And within these communities, you also teach the principles that we're speaking of today. So um how does that um how do you see that working in these community? Because I know they're saying that there are some communities who are disparaged by not knowing about financial literacy, as preferably, especially in the Black and Brown communities, as opposed to the white and the Asian community. How is that even possible?
Well,
We're
it's
we're in one America.
right. One, we're in America. Uh,
Mhm.
and two, um, it has a lot to do sometimes with geographical location.
Okay.
I will just say that, and then a lot to do with the areas that one grows up in. Um,
Okay.
although I grew up in Inglewood, in Chicago, Illinois, and at the time that I grew up in Inglewood, it was a middle class area. And so
Mhm.
now they're calling it low to moderate income area. And I encourage those. I go back into the 17th Ward with Alderman David Moore, who
Mhm.
is the alderman of the Inglewood area, along with other surrounding communities. And I go in and I teach. Uh,
Okay.
and, and when I go into these low to moderate income areas, not just here in Chicago, Illinois, and where I grew up, but I also go to different states. We've been
Right.
to Missouri, we've been to Kansas, we've been to Virginia, Mississippi, just going and just becoming the blessing. And we've also been to Ohio. I almost forgot Ohio. Uh,
Okay.
and so when we go out to these particular areas, I take my art of budgeting and the journal with me, and I donate that to those that are in these the residents of the shelters that we service,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So that they can have it in hand, right?
Right.
So that they can take their own time. Uh,
Mm.
read the book, read the passages of scripture, read the prayers, right? Um,
Associated with.
Yes, yes. So
Mhm.
that it can help them stay encouraged, help them stay focused, help them to be empowered, help them to be enlightened. Because so many people press people in low to moderate income areas down, but you don't know the gift that God has placed inside of them. And I want
Right.
to encourage them to become all that they can be, all that you dream of. It can be yours. You must speak those things that be not as if they're already so, and believe in yourself. Believe that you can make a change. Believe that you, one person, can make a difference, because it starts with that person that's looking back at you in the mirror. And so you want to be the change in our world today. And if we can get this out, right, and helping the communities and helping the school systems, even because we used to have a junior achievement program here in the state of Illinois, and I haven't heard much of it in a while. I used to participate in it, but now I want to take Trifold Connections and our financial literacy into the public school
Mhm.
systems,
Right.
into
And
workplace, because I've heard so many times, and as we have went out and taught, and also given back to those communities the things that they were in need of, right? I've heard so many times, where have you been?
right, right.
I
Um,
need help. You know,
r-
I should have known this 10 years ago. I should have
mhm.
known this 20 years ago. If I had known this before, I could have raised my children better. I could, and so,
And yes, and that is so true. And that's where, the lack of the literacy causes so much pain within the communities, because if you don't know something, how can you do it? And for so many years, people only know what was passed on from them from generation to generation. So
yeah,
if mommy and daddy, grandma, and so on and so on, if they were not literate, well,
right.
guess what? Everybody going forward, they're going to experience the same thing. But
Exactly.
thank you so much for what you're doing, which is so important to all of us. And where can you find your books?
You can find them on my website, and you can find them on Amazon. On my website, you'll find them under the Money Matter Mondays tab. And so it's right at the top of the tab there when you go to the Money Matter Money section of Trifold Connections. And so my website is Trifold Connections with an S, LLC.com. That's Trifold Connections with an S, LLC.com.
Anyway, Miss Henrietta, it was such a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for the knowledge that you have given us. And I am sure all of those watching will really be blessed. I know I was.
Thank
And God bless you. I love you. And of course, I follow the show when I have the chance to. And so it was truly a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You are so welcome. You are such a blessing.
Thank you for
Thank
having.
you. Most definitely. And maybe again, you'll come again, because I know there's even more knowledge that you have to share.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you so
you. You are so welcome.
much. Okay.
In and out of situations that tug of war at me. All day long I struggle for the answers that I need. But when I come into his presence, all my questions become clear. all that, no doubts can interfere. In the presence of Jehovah, God Almighty, Prince of Peace, troubles vanish, hearts are mended in the presence of the King. Through His love, the Lord provided a place for us to rest, a place to find the answer